The Michigan Football Report is presented by Magic Spoon Cereal. It is the tastiest, healthiest, most nutrition-packed cereal on the market. Start your morning off with Magic Spoon. Get $5 off your order. Use that link right there on the screen, magicspoon.com/goblue. I'll toss it down in the descriptions. I'll toss it down in the comment of this video as well. We've got Michigan football rumors out of fall camp to kind of take us into game week starting next week on Monday. So I want to get your prediction. Game 1 of year 7 for Jim Harbaugh. It's Western Michigan, all right? The haters out there are saying Michigan is going to lose this game to their in-state, little cousin, little brother, Western Michigan Broncos. Michigan's a 17.5-point favorite in this game. Cade McNamara likely to get his first start. I'll pin this comment below the video. Let's get your score predictions. Trying to think, top of my head, I don't know what to expect here. Not many people do. I'm going to go 27-13 Michigan is my prediction. So go down in the comments. Let me know your score prediction for this game. If you didn't see last night, Walter Nolen, who is now the #1 overall recruit in the 24/7 Sports composite, now that Quinn Ewers has gone on and enrolled early at Ohio State, he drops Michigan. He does not name them in their top 3 after a lot of folks, myself included, thought Michigan might be leading for him. Is name, image, and likeness, and what Michigan was not willing to do and maybe other schools were willing to do, is it to blame for Walter Nolen kind of dropping Michigan? I'm giving this one 3 Harbaugh heads. If you haven't seen the Harbaugh heads before, we'll tell you what they mean here coming up in a few minutes. But Walter Nolen moved from Memphis, where he grew up, which I think him being there and some inroads Michigan had made in the state of Tennessee and Memphis and in Nashville had actually helped out. Moves to Knoxville. Had tried to actually move to the state of Michigan, looked at a few schools, but they were making it too tough for him to transfer into the state to be a senior in high school next year. Transfers to a high school in Knoxville where a mentor, former coach of his, is now coaching, and announces top 3 last night. Does not include Michigan. I want to kind of dive into this story a little bit more. Before we do, though, I want to walk through the Michigan football Harbaugh heads rumor meter presented by this show. If it's 0 Harbaugh heads, that it means is zero Harbaugh heads means fake news, probably reported by Scam Web on his message board. 1 Harbaugh head means it's a small shred of truth. 2 Harbaugh heads purely in the rumor category, or people are talking, as we like to say. If it's 3 Harbaugh heads, it's pretty likely, and if it's 4 Harbaugh heads, F-A-C-K, fact, that is how Jim Harbaugh spells the word, and of course that's how we spell it here at the Michigan Football Report by Chat Sports. So Nolen put out this tweet last night. My top 3 is at Walter Nolen, Nolen4 on Twitter, with a let's go with this photo. Tennessee up there top. He's a Tennessee boy. He's living in Knoxville now. Georgia on the right, and then Texas A&M there on the left of that photo. So that's his top 3. Michigan and Florida and LSU. A lot of people thought those were his top 3 just a couple months ago. So it's interesting to see that he drops Michigan out of this top 3. So visited twice this summer, and a lot of people are saying, I put the word out, it seems to me that there are schools out there now using name, image, and likeness to their advantage when it comes to going after the top recruit in the country in Walter Nolen and giving him guarantees. I don't know what the guarantees are, but listen, if you come here, we will make sure, no matter what it takes, we're giving you $50,000, $100,000 a year in name, image, and likeness deals and an Escalade. I'm not saying that's what Tennessee said, but I'm not saying that's what Tennessee said. You read in between the lines. Producer Matt Peterson on the production side of this thing, Tennessee grad, might have some source on that one. I don't know. But Michigan was not willing to make those concessions, and that was what his family was looking for, was a guarantee that, hey, we don't want to have to go out and do all these small-time deals. If you're going to give us $100,000, guaranteed that your Brookshes will come through with their small businesses, car dealerships, etc. We will be, we'll continue looking at you. Apparently, Georgia, obviously, of course, Kirby Smart, one of the shiestiest guys out there in college football. Tennessee, long known for cheating, and then Texas A&M. We'll see what we get out of them. So Walter Nolen will not be attending Michigan. I don't think there's any way Michigan gets back into the game unless the university at the highest levels, the president, the athletic department, make some changes in how they approach NIL. Because is there another school out there that has had so few name, image, likeness deals. It seems that almost every other big program out there has at least their quarterback, their running back, their star defender get some sort of big deal with a cheeseburger, a chicken restaurant, some Raising Cane's, some sort of car dealership. We saw an Ohio State freshman get a sick ass truck a couple weeks ago. Nothing from Michigan. They're doing kind of their own deals. And, of course, Hunter Dickinson, Michigan star basketball player, star true freshman, coming back for his sophomore year. He openly trashed Michigan's name, image, likeness policies and all the red tape he had to go through to get any sort of deals done to return for his sophomore year and feel that he was being taken care of. But is it hurting the program? Well, it depends. They're certainly not number one in the Big Ten or the nation. Penn State right now with a number one recruiting class, not only in the Big Ten, but also in the country. James Franklin is off to a hell of a start this recruiting cycle. Ohio State, formerly number one program, and really thought it looked like they had the whole thing locked up. Quinn Ewers, number one recruit in the country, reclassifies to 2021, no longer a part of it. And then their number one cornerback in the country out of Jacksonville, Jaheim Singletary, whatever his name is, who Michigan did offer, he also decommitted, so they lose two of the top 8 players in the country. They dropped to number 3, though. Michigan right behind them at 15 in the country, number 3 in the Big Ten. Rutgers staying alive, number 17 in the country. And then, surprisingly, Michigan State, who is recruited terrible forever, is number 19 in the country, number 5 in the Big Ten right now. So those are the recruiting rankings. Michigan's kind of had a slow last month or so. Nothing really going on once the month of August came with this program getting any new recruiting momentum. But I think Michigan is dropping the ball on name, image, and likeness. The fact that there's been no deals that have come out. There have been no alumni like, how about Dolphins owner Stephen Ross? How about big-time near billionaire boosters like James Yoder? I mean, we just haven't been approached by the school, okay? I put it out there. You know, I'm willing to wet the beak if they'll ask me, but no one's approached me. Season ticket holder for decades, but Chat Sports, this show, we're not wetting the beak, so I think Michigan's dropping the ball here big time with name, image, and likeness. I'll ask you guys this question. You saw about a month ago I said I thought that name, image, and likeness could be a big help for Michigan. Of the major top 20 or so programs in the country, there's not a single school out there that has more 100 millionaires, more billionaire alumni than Michigan. You've got sports team owners. You've got all kinds of executives across the country, people who own big companies, and nothing's happened so far. We are now 2 months, July 1st it started, so we're nearly 2 months into it. Nothing's going on. Go down in the comments, type help or type hurt below. Do you think this name, image, and likeness era of college football will help or hurt Michigan's recruiting going forward? And as I said before, presented by Magic Spoon. We love Magic Spoon cereal here at the Michigan Football Report. It is high in protein. It is low in sugar because there is no sugar. It is awesome, okay? I used to not be a breakfast guy at all. I just skipped it. I didn't want to get that cereal belly that a lot of you probably get. And Magic Spoon has changed the game. It is childlike cereal for adults, as you can see on the screen. High in protein. MagicSpoon.com/GoBlue is the URL. Let them know we sent you. Get $5 off your first order. And then tweet at me. Hit me on this show comments here. Let me know what you think of the cereal. It is sweet and delicious. As I said, it's like that awesome cereal you woke up to when you were a kid, and you just kind of packed your mouth full of sugar and everything, but no sugar in this. It is completely sugar-free. MagicSpoon.com/GoBlue, our presenting sponsor. I couldn't speak highly enough of this cereal, and trust me, when you order one, you get it delivered to you, you will be thanking me that you took advantage of the order. $5 off, MagicSpoon.com/GoBlue. Next rumor up. Michigan's offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, are they coaches to watch? Are they coaches to watch? Well, according to Bruce Feldman of The Athletic, people are talking here, 2 Harbaugh heads. And I'm not sure what we're watching because there's a lot of big-name coaches, including head coaches. I kind of first looked at this list today. I thought, oh, this is recruiting. This is assistant coaches that might be to watch. No, they had all kinds of head coaches. Matt Campbell is number 1 on the list. Josh Gaddis, Tom, what was he, 38, 26? 36 on the list, 36, 37, 26, 27, something like that. Josh Gaddis and Mike McDonald, Michigan's offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. And I'm always thinking that Feldman spent too much time in 2020 worrying about the coronavirus and masking up than he did actually watching football. If he thinks that Josh Gaddis is a coach to watch, he's a coach to watch to get fired, probably, right? Because he's entering his 3rd year, and this offense has just done. this. Michigan brought in several coaches this year, new running backs coach, new quarterbacks coach, who can easily step in, not to mention Sherrone Moore, who is now the co-offensive coordinator and offensive line coaches. I think there's a better chance that Josh Gattis gets fired by the end of September than it is that he gets a head coaching job at the end of this season. The offensive stat ranks, 250 yards per game, that seems okay, 5th in the country, but then you pair that with 111th, or is it 11th? 11th, sorry. I said 5th in the country. 5th in the Big Ten. 11th in the Big Ten at 131 rushing yards per game, 381 yards per game total. 7th in the Big Ten. 4th, 28.3, 4 points per game. But they're 4th in the Big Ten. But they're trying to come back every game in the second half. Michigan State, Indiana, Wisconsin, Penn State. Michigan was down at Rutgers, down 17 at halftime. And so, of course, they're going to pass the ball a lot in the second half. But that offense was a disaster last year. You had the powerhouse that came into the 2019 season. And, Bruce, Gattis, as a coach to watch, he might get fired, bro. I'm not even joking when I say this. There has not been a worse hire in the entire Big Ten versus expectations in a coordinator role, not head coach. I think there's a few head coaches that may be out there. Then Josh Gattis, speed and space, the Alabama offense. These wide receivers he was going to develop. All of that has been a complete failure. He has coached at Michigan for 19 games so far. I could count 5, maybe 6 games that he has actually lived up to being a competent offensive coordinator. 10, 11 games, he's been an absolute disaster. There's a couple okays in there. So I don't know what you're thinking here, Feldman. We'll talk about Mike Macdonald here in just a second, but make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/Michigan TV. We're going to catch those Sons of Guns at Michigan podcast, a few hundred subscribers back, so we'd really appreciate if you like the show. If you like a little entertainment, a couple cuss words in there, and some Magic Spoon cereal, subscribe to the channel. You will not miss a video that we put out. Coming up on September 1st here in a few days, we're putting out a video every single day in the month of September. But Mike Macdonald, can he turn the defense around? We all know that Don Brown should have been let go after the 2018 Ohio State game and the debacle that turned into. Now, Mike Macdonald, very highly spoken of by John Harbaugh, Jim's brother, young guy, but like Josh Gattis, has never coordinated a defense, has never called plays. He was with the Ravens for 7 seasons. Prior to that, he was a defensive quality control coach in 2013 at Georgia. 2012 season, he was a graduate assistant, and prior to that, he was an assistant high school coach when he was an undergrad in college prior to that. So he's a younger guy. Shout out to him, though. He did score himself a Ravens, now Washington football team cheerleader. I'm not sure if he's doing it anymore, as his wife, so clearly he can recruit, if you get what I'm saying. But this is what he's got. The 11th best passing defense in the country. After three of the four prior seasons, prior to 2020, Michigan had the number 1 pass defense in the country 3 of the 4 prior seasons, 11th in the Big Ten last year, 8th in rushing, 11th in the Big Ten in yards per game, and 11th in scoring. You could not have had a worse defense to pair with Michigan's offense last year than Don Brown's 2020 squad. We're giving this 2 hardball heads. People are talking. Bruce Feldman, you got your spot on Fox. Josh Gattis might be a coach to watch to get fired. Mike Macdonald, there's still so much to be proven for him. I don't know if we'll know much about him until probably the Wisconsin game, the 5th game of the year. If Michigan puts Ben Mason and whatever the other brother, the Glasgow brother, the third Glasgow brother on the defensive line in goal line, the 185-pound Glasgow brother, Jordan Glasgow, on the line to stop Wisconsin's running back like Don Brown did 2 years ago, we'll know Mike Macdonald is not here for long. If he changes it up, gets a couple stops against Wisconsin, maybe he's onto something. But I want to know from you guys, which unit, offense or defense, are you more excited to see? Go down in the comments. Give me an O for offense. Give me a D for defense. That's what she said. It's got to be the defense for me because we know what we've got out of this offense for Josh Gattis. It's been a complete abject disaster. Gattis has been a disaster, and I've said, folks, I think Jim Harbaugh has Mike Hart, the quarterback's coach whose name I'm forgetting off the top of my head. Doesn't matter, Samuel. People know who he is, also from the Ravens, and Sherrone Moore. Jim Harbaugh is preparing for this. Trust me. He knows that if Josh Gattis gets to that 5th game against Wisconsin, this offense is sputtering. Gattis will be demoted or fired, and one of those guys will step up and be the offensive coordinator for the rest of the season. So I'm more excited. Some new fresh blood with the defense. Next rumor, though. last rumor here on the show, Chris Hinton is disappointing here. I'm giving this one 4 Harbaugh heads. That means this is an FACK fact. The former 5-star out of the state of Georgia, out of Atlanta, whose brother was also a 5-star recruit, ended up going to Stanford in the offensive lineman. Was a starter last year, got some playing time as a true freshman in 2019, and everything we've been told over 2.5 weeks of camp so far is he is not making any step forward as a 4 or 5-star. You expect him to be by his 3rd year, like Daxton Hill, like Aiden Hutchinson. You think these guys might be stars. Hutchinson not a 5-star, but that level of play, that level of expectation. And Chris Hinton has not done it. I've been told that, hey, he's kind of lazy. He's not in the right shape. He's making no impact plays. But it's now or never for Chris Hinton, because Michigan finally, after 3 or 4 years of really struggling on the defensive line, recruiting, Don Brown bringing all these undersized guys, they did some work on the interior last year in the 2021 recruiting class. And so by the time next season comes around, there's going to be guys ready to take Chris Hinton's spot. His career stats are, frankly, they're kind of embarrassing. 23 tackles in 2 seasons at Michigan. Starter last year, started 1 game as a true freshman in 2019, 2.5 tackles for loss, 1 sack, and 0 forced fumbles. My defensive line depth chart, Michigan's running a 3-4 defense, so when you don't see Aiden Hutchinson on here, don't freak out. He's going to be technically a linebacker in this 3-4 defensive scheme, but in all reality, they'll have 5 players who you consider defensive linemen in the starting lineup, and then probably 2 linebackers, Josh Ross and likely Nakai Hill-Green. Donovan Jeter, Mozzie Smith, Chris Hinton with Julius Welschoff, Jess Spates, who somehow is still playing. He's like a 6-year, 7th-year senior. And then Rayshon Trap Money Benny, the true freshman out of the state of Michigan, is your 2 deep at the defensive line. We'll talk linebackers. We'll talk secondary here coming up on the show next week. But how many sacks will Chris Hinton have this season? Predict for me down below. And if you want to give any more commentary on my 2 deep, go down in the comments. Let me know what you think about that 2 deep in Michigan's 3-4 defensive scheme. One more thing on the defensive line here. A lot of you expected Jordan Whitley, the super senior on this team. 8 years ago, he graduated high school, yet he's still somehow playing college football. I don't know how that works, but he's been struggling. And he, crazy enough, committed to San Jose State in, I think, the 2014 recruiting class. I'll look this up here. It was the 2014 recruiting class. It was. Got hurt or didn't get into it, then transfers to a community college, Laney College, gets hurt in 2015, gets hurt in 2016, ACL injury, gains 150-plus pounds, all of a sudden goes from a high school running back to a college defensive lineman, then plays a year or 2 for them, 2017, 2018, transfers to Oregon State, gets some play in. Right? He has 1 game he started in 2019 there. His stats were kind of paltry, and then sat out the 2020 season because of a heart medical condition, COVID-19 opt-out. So he kept his year of eligibility. Now he's an 8th-year quadruple super senior, 14 tackles, 3.5 tackles for losses, no sacks, and 1 QB hurry in 2019 in 1 start, mostly reserve duty, but did play in 11 of the 12 regular season games for Oregon State that year. But it's kind of interesting that when Michigan brings in these guys that you heard, what was the knock on Whitley, and then another guy we're going to talk about here right now, Willie Allen. What was their common thread? They underperformed. They were oversized, and the knock on them at the prior school was that, well, they're just not in shape. They didn't put in the work, all this different stuff. Come to Michigan, Whitley is not even in my 3 deep. I'll tell you what, if we go 1 more, I don't even know if he's in the 4 deep right now. I think it's likely he could potentially be Willie Allen 2.0. If you don't recall, Willie Allen came up from Michigan, was a starter at Louisiana Tech last year in 2020, transferred to Michigan as a grad transfer for January, and didn't even make the 2 deep of the offensive line in spring practice. And by May, spent 4 months on campus. He transferred to UMass, one of the quickest entries and exits in Michigan football history. Jordan Whitley, we wish him the best, but it sounds like it could be going that way. Whether he leaves the program or not, I'm unsure, but it doesn't seem like he's going to make any impact with this program in the 2021 season. We'll be back with more Michigan football news and rumors tomorrow. Until then, go Blue.